When Nintendo released the first Splatoon in 2015, the world took notice. The game was oozing with charm, beautiful art direction, and accessible gameplay. Splatoon became an instant hit on the Wii U, and surprising no one, a sequel was announced alongside the reveal trailer for Nintendo's new console, the Switch. Hi, I'm Adrian with the Leaderboard, and I'm here to give you the scoop on Splatoon 2. Whether you're a kid or a squid, or pretty much any sea creature really, get ready because it's time for 7 facts on Splatoon 2. The original plot for Splatoon is, well, it's kinda slim. The game takes place in the city of Inkopolis, where everyone's a kid and a squid, or jellyfish, or crustacean. Whatever, you get the point. Within Inkopolis City was a sewer grate that took you to Octo Valley, where the campaign for the game takes place. Yes, there was a campaign, but it really just served as a glorified tutorial for the game. A fun, enjoyable, short platforming tutorial. In the campaign, it was possible to find hidden items called sunken scrolls that offered hints at what was going on in the world of Splatoon. But that was about it. Callie and Marie, two of the biggest characters that stood out in the game, were only slightly involved with the campaign. The Squid Sisters served as hosts for matches, announced new DLC and events, and gave the game a huge personality boost. So naturally, them being the two most popular characters in the game, it makes sense for the two sisters to be the anchor to the story for Splatoon 2. Nintendo released chapters on the website that serve as a prequel to the sequel. Splatoon 2 takes place 9 months after the last Splatfest of the first game, in which Marie proved victorious over her sister, Callie. The stories on Nintendo's website highlight how the two sisters, who were inseparable, appeared to be drifting away from one another. Marie was concerned that Callie was distancing herself from her sister due to the loss. However, the two spent an afternoon together and everything appeared a-okay. Unfortunately, after Callie got home, she then went missing. Not only that, but the great Zapfish, the power source of all of Inkopolis, had gone missing. Again. Marie knew that the Octarians, the main baddies from the first game, stole the great Zapfish and had to be involved in Callie's disappearance. Fearing for her sister's safety, Marie recruits a new Inkling to find the great Zapfish and to investigate Callie's disappearance. And well, that's the lead up to Splatoon 2. Mr. Nogami, the game's producer, wanted to focus the story on Callie and Marie because he knows how much fans love both of them. The sequel was a perfectly accessible point to delve more into their lives and to get a sense of who they really were. When Nintendo created the stories online, Nogami wanted them to feel like a gossip column, which is why some of the writing can seem a little overdramatic at times. XOXO Splatoon. It seems that almost every game nowadays needs some type of horde mode where the game pits you against wave after wave of enemies. Splatoon 2 decided to join in on that horde mode hype as well. They call it the Salmon Run. Why salmon? Well, Mr. Nogami felt that the personality of salmon fit best for this type of game mode. He described salmon as always wanting to return to their spawn point or rush one area of interest. That's what the salmon do in Salmon Run. They just rush after you and your friends, non-stop. The new mode even gives the Inklings new digs. It's multiple levels of difficulty, with the highest mode starting at 100. However, if you start at the 100 level, with each wave you defeat, your difficulty will go up by 5 and can max out all the way up to level 200. The salmon runs are only available as timed events, as in when the salmon actually feel like attacking. However, in wireless play with local pals, you can take on salmon whenever you feel like. There's no doubt that competitive gaming has become a popular culture in itself. There are tournaments with huge cash prizes that feature games like Overwatch, League of Legends, Counter-Strike, etc. Nintendo hasn't really delved into this world, and to be fair, there is an insanely popular competitive Smash Bros scene. However, Nintendo never intended for Smash Bros games to become a competitive series, and the games were not marketed that way at all. However, when Splatoon 2 was announced in the Switch announcement trailer, the game was featured as an esports-esque game. The trailer featured teams drawing up game plans and taking their skills to the big stage. Multiple reports have stated that Nintendo doesn't want to revolutionize the esports community with Splatoon 2, but rather be a part of it. Nintendo even dabbled with this movement in the original Splatoon last year by having a tournament through Battlefy, which is a company that specializes in hosting esports tournaments. It'll be interesting to see just how involved Nintendo will be with the esports community with Splatoon 2 in their arsenal. When it came to developing the sequel for Splatoon, the development team had a lot of factors to consider. One of the big ones was that it was developing the sequel for a console that's already seen huge success. It's widely regarded that the Wii U was a disappointment in Nintendo's history, while the Switch can't even stay on store shelves, although I managed to find one at Target this week for my brother, but that's besides the point. Mr. Nogami wanted to make the sequel a balance in terms of hoping to bring in new players to the franchise, while still keeping true to the roots that the original fanbase loved about the game so much. Shintaro Sato, one of the lead programming directors, felt that the biggest change to Splatoon 2 was the introduction of all new special weapons. None of the original special weapons from Splatoon are appearing in the sequel. This gives new players the best versions of the special weapons and gives gives existing players completely new weapons and tactics to try out on the sequel. Splatoon 2 even adds new types of weapons. Some of the new weapons featured in Splatoon 2 are the dualies, which are a pair of automatic weapons that gives you the ability to dodge, and the Splatbrella, which is the Splatoon equivalent of a shotgun and a shield. And with that combination, I definitely know what my next favorite weapon class is. Aside from weapons, one of the newest features with the sequel is the introduction of the Splatnet 2 app. It's actually an app within an app, since Nintendo is launching its online service with Splatoon 2. The entire service will be done through the app, which allows you to invite friends to voice chat, send messages, and add friends. Splatnet 2 will live within this app and will give all kinds of stats to track and add features as well. Mr. Nogami is extremely appreciative of the fans when it comes to the Splatoon franchise. It was this loyal fan base that allowed a sequel to be made, and getting a new original game made at Nintendo isn't easy. It requires a lot of focus on gameplay first, before the team can even think of making characters. However, Mr. Nogami feels that the art style is what let the Splatoon series excel. He hopes that the sequel will continue to push that mold and encourage players to be accepting of new styles in games, rather than just staying within their comfort zone. The team is dedicated to the world building in Splatoon 2, and added a plethora of new characters within the game. Kelly and Marie will be missed as the main hosts, but the DJ duo of Pearl and Marina already have the fan base falling in love, especially with Marina. Marina is best girl. The Splatoon 2 team promises to support it for 1 year when it comes to DLC, and for 2 years overall with Splatfests. One of the coolest things about the original Splatoon was how much you could customize your Inkling. Splatoon 2 has no shortage of cool clothes that you could deck out your Squid Kid in. Mr. Nogami wanted the fashion in the game to feel integral to the world and story. He feels like the Inklings are a youth movement to keep up with the latest trends, and that's why their clothes can feel a little bit out there. They're willing to try the latest trends that other generations wouldn't. Some of the older brands in the first Splatoon also appear in the sequel and try to keep up with these new trends. Since 9 months has passed in the story, there are plenty of new stores and styles that are trying to take over the old school clothes. Every piece of gear has one passive trait, but it's also possible to equip up to 3 more traits to each piece of gear. Some of these traits range from being able to spawn faster to seeing enemies through walls. Wish my clothes did that. A case could be made that Nintendo could have just made a huge 2.0 patch to include a lot of these features into the original Splatoon and be done with it. However, in an interview with Famitsu, Mr. Nogami felt that 2 years out from the original Splatoon was enough time for a sequel, and with all the changes coming to Splatoon 2, he believes it justified making a second game. Nogami noted that there's a new slate, and the sequel is meant to wipe everything clean from the original Splatoon and start a new chapter within the series. He wants fans of the original to try all the new combinations and tactics in Splatoon 2, and he promises to continue supporting it throughout its life cycle, just as Nintendo did with the original Splatoon. It's clear that Nintendo has huge plans for the Splatoon franchise as a whole. With a promise of 2-year support for Splatoon 2, it seems almost too obvious that we should be hearing about Splatoon 3 within the next 2 years. Here's hoping. Once again, I'm Adrian, and thanks for tuning in for 7 facts about Splatoon 2. Have you played it yet? Are you a kid or a squid? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to click that bell icon to become part of the notification squad. And remember to subscribe to the Leaderboard, your home for video game facts.